Do you remember this? It was exactly 5 years ago today that a couple of inches of snow crippled the evening commute in Portland. December of 2016. Drivers were stuck in traffic for hours. Many abandoned their cars on the side of the road. School buses were stranded, unable to drop kids off at school or at home. And cars were sliding all over the area. That was 2016. Thankfully, the first snow for part of the metro area this season was not nearly as bad. This was the dusting some saw in the West Hills and parts of Washington County overnight. And now we're looking ahead to another chance for snow tomorrow. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino for the latest. What's the timeline on this, Matt?
You know, this is another one of those borderline situations where some places will get snow and some significant snow, and other places will be like, what snow? It's just raining and the roads are totally fine. Outside right now in Portland, it's 40 degrees. Notice we have an east wind at 7 miles an hour. We're 40, but it's down to 36 in Hillsborough, 34 King City, 38 in Forest Grove. So we're right on the edge of being cold enough for snow in the metro area, and temperatures may drop a few more degrees overnight tonight. Our latest modeling showing snow throughout the metro area, really, but look at the amounts. 1/10 of an inch in Portland. This model only showing 3/10 of an inch in the West Hills. Now, some places like the West Hills, Vernonia, out by Forest Grove, parts of Washington County, I think the coverage on this is good. I think some of these amounts will be higher, but for downtown, Troutdale, Gresham, that may be what we get, only 1/10 of an inch of snow. So for the metro proper, for downtown, close in neighborhoods, I really don't think it'll be that big of a deal. The roads probably won't have sticking snow. We are under a winter weather advisory, but only for areas above 500 feet in elevation. So that does not include downtown, the close-in neighborhoods on the east side, and much of the metro area. So here's how I see it going down. Snow 0 to as much as an inch as possible for the valley floor, including downtown. But once you get above 500 feet, we may see as much as 4 inches. So places like the Burnside Summit, Skyline Boulevard, may have some serious snow and some slippery roads up there. West Hills, Washington County, and Cascade Foothills, of course. Estacada, Sandy, you will have some snow. And then it turns to all rain by about midday. Laurel, you asked about the timing. Should begin in the early morning hours, about 6 o'clock, maybe 5 a.m., somewhere in there. Back to you.
Well, we look forward to hearing more in just a few minutes. Thank you, Matt. Just into the newsroom tonight, police are looking for a man caught on camera grabbing a child in Northwest Portland today. The 6-year-old was walking with his father on Northwest Overton when it happened. They were near Fields Park. This was right in the middle of the afternoon at 3:30. The father was able to fight off the suspect and keep his child from being hurt. Police tonight are looking for a Hispanic man who's 20 to 30 years old. He's about 5'2", heavy set with dark hair. He was wearing a black hoodie with whitewashed jeans, a gray beanie, and black and white shoes. Call Portland Police if you have any information that could help find him. And developing in Clark County, police need you to keep an eye out for this 92-year-old man. They put out a silver alert tonight for Richard Anthony. He left his battleground home at 9 this morning, headed for an appointment in Vancouver. He was spotted in Camas about 6 tonight, but has not made it home yet. Anthony was driving a red 2007 Chrysler 300 like this one. It has Washington license plate 493YVN. Call 911 if you see him or his vehicle. New tonight, as we get closer to Christmas and those last-minute gifts get delivered, the perennial porch pirates are also hard at work. Washington County's trying to detour thieves by leaving out bait packages. Alma McCarty got an update on their program and some advice on protecting your deliveries.
They're always concerning. They're never going to stop. It's never going to stop.
Video after doorbell video capturing the crime happening, of course, all year long. And while investigators doubt they can stop it completely, Detective Patrick Altier with the Washington County Sheriff's Office says they can discourage thieves during the holiday season with their bait package program.
We use bait items for other things, and we just sort of adapted that to packages, right? You start putting the trackers in packages and putting the packages on porches and just letting them sit for a while. These are opportunity crimes. If somebody happens by, sees the package and grabs it, we're going to know.
Detective Altier says after the program's first year, the thefts dropped about 10%. The number of these crimes has stayed relatively low in Washington County, and they're not seeing a drastic drop every year.
Theft numbers have gone down, and they fluctuate just depending on the season what's going on, economic conditions, things like that.
The sheriff's office reports the first bait package this season was stolen less than 12 hours after the mission began. It's still underway, and a quarter of the bait packages set out across the county have been taken and recovered.
And as far as what the packages look like, I think a lot of people would like to know that, but that would be silly for me to talk about.
When it comes to protecting your deliveries, Altier says doorbell cams do help, but he doesn't want to overstate their effectiveness. Law enforcement can't always make a case based on video alone.
It's something we can publicize. We can say, hey, does anybody recognize this person, especially if it's someone who's doing a lot of these, does anybody know this person? Can you give us some tips?
His standard piece of advice:
if people get those packages off their porch quickly, they're not sitting out there for someone to drive by and see it.
Getting packages delivered to the office or picked up by a neighbor also helps when you're not home.
If these thieves are caught, it can be a pretty hefty punishment. In Oregon, mail theft is a Class C felony, meaning it carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, a fine of up to $125,000, or both.
Thank you, Alma. Public health officials in Oregon expect we'll be seeing many more cases of the Omicron variant in the state in the days and weeks ahead. Oregon found the first 3 cases in Multnomah and Washington counties. Dr. Donna Hansel is chair of the OHSU team that's been sequencing virus samples and detected the first Omicron cases.
I think we're expecting to see quite a few more. Indeed, it sounds like the doubling time of the virus is 2 to 3 days. And so we expect that it might be almost an exponential increase in the number of positive cases that we have.
All 3 people with Omicron in Oregon were vaccinated. We talked to Multnomah County's health officer about that today. She stressed the vaccine does not keep the virus from getting into your nose or your throat.
Vaccines do what we hoped they would do, which is prevent severe illness. Seriously ill, hospitalizations, death from infection.
Preliminary research from South Africa, where Omicron is surging, shows Pfizer's 2-dose vaccine is less effective against Omicron than other variants, but it still offers 70% protection against hospitalization. There are new developments out of Newburgh tonight. The school board voted on next steps in hiring a new superintendent. Last month, the board abruptly fired the former superintendent, Joe Morlock. Tonight, they approved a plan to bring on an interim superintendent who is currently the head of the Willamette Education Service District. The board's conservative majority wants to hire a permanent replacement by the end of January. Opposing board members think that's too rushed. In the meantime, there are recall campaigns against 2 of the conservative board members. The campaign against Vice Chair Brian Shannon has gotten enough signatures to qualify for a vote next month.